This is Tread Boldly, Leadership Lessons from the Saints, with Father Nathan Cromly.
My name is Father Cromly. I'm the president of the St. John Institute, and this is Tread Boldly, Leadership Lessons from the Saints. In 2 Samuel chapter 1, we read about the death of King Saul. Saul was the first king of Israel, chosen by God and anointed by the prophet Samuel to rule over the house of God, the people of Israel. We all know that Saul was imperfect, and in fact that the favor of the Lord was withdrawn from Saul, even to the point where Saul was given up to his own death in 1 Samuel 31 by the sword of the enemy, and that God allowed him to die so that David could take his throne and rule with glory over the house of Israel. And yet, for all of the shame that the house of Saul may have incurred, he was still the king, and he ruled with an office that was vouchsafed by God himself. And for this reason, David, even though at several different points he could have avenged himself upon Saul, who was hunting him down to his death and making his life miserable, David always refused, constantly choosing the higher ground and saying that he did not have the authority or the audacity to touch the one whom God had anointed as king. This stance was highlighted by the tragic death of Saul, which was done by the hand of someone standing nearby him rather than by his enemies. And when the man who had killed King Saul came and told King David that he had dispatched the life of King Saul, King David took that man's very life himself, saying that he should not have touched the one whom the Lord had anointed. In verse 16, we read, "Your blood be on your head, for your own mouth has testified against you, saying, I have killed the Lord's anointed." Now, putting aside the rather disturbing details of the death of King Saul, the point is made that King David had such a high regard for the office of the leader whom God anointed, that he would not even take vengeance justly upon this man who was making his life so miserable. Why did King David have such respect for the office of the king that he had gone before him? Except that King David knew that it came from God. This is a perspective that St. Paul echoes for us in his letter to the Romans when he bids us to obey all earthly authority because all authority comes from God. We even find this in the mouth of our Lord himself before Pontius Pilate, saying that Pilate would have no authority over him if it had not been given to him from above. This is a perspective that challenges a lot of the ways that we view even ourselves. Now, obviously, we can take this too far. Obviously, there's room here for misuse or even abuse of authority, and we shouldn't hide our own propensity for malice behind, the veneer of a religious sentiment. But there is, at the same time, something very important for us to underscore that King David points out for us. And that is, when you're dealing with leadership, you're dealing with something much more powerful than a mere display of human behavior. You're dealing with an order that comes from the Creator himself, where he willed that certain things find their fulfillment, reach their end goal by the help and through the service of other things. That certain creatures rule over other creatures, not in an absolute way, but as an act of service, to allow those other creatures, those who follow the leader, to achieve their rightful fulfillment. This is so important because it means that leadership, hierarchy, order comes from God. And we do great injustice, not only, of course, to the name of God, but also to ourselves when we fight against that order unduly. Even though leadership might be done poorly, even though those in authority may not exercise it in the holiest of ways, King David's life points out to us that authority itself comes from God and therefore should be respected by us all. God is watching over us. God is the one who raises up saints to lead. And perhaps our best response to poor leadership is to tread boldly and take the mantle of leadership up ourselves, to serve others by leading them.
Oh yeah, let's go forth boldly. Father Nathan Cromly, love it, love it, love it. Boldly and with obedience and with respect. Gotta love that. And anytime we tie in King David, I kind of like it.